In the Rocky Mountains.
We deal with absolutely everything that Mother Nature can throw at us.
Lethal rock slides.
There's plenty of other rocks that are waiting to come down and smush us.
23,000-ton trains.
If I start to power up too quickly, I can rip the train apart.
And deadly wildlife.
I hate snakes.
Wreak havoc on the Canadian Pacific Railway.
Anything to keep the trains rolling.
As the winter ice starts to thaw.
Not landed on them, that'd be game over.
We gotta get this baby moving.
It's springtime in the Rocky Mountains. Rising temperatures are melting the ice and snow as winter starts to release its icy grip.
Spring, things happen usually a lot more quickly. Things do have a tendency of going from low concern to, oh my God, this is a panic and emergency in 24 hours.
Any seasonal change brings its own problems. The rock in the mountains is going to have a lot of cracks. Water gets into those cracks, and when it turns to ice, it expands. And it's going to push that rock out, which makes for a very unstable mountainside. We are going through that freeze-thaw cycle. With the weather we're having, a rock slide can come down at any time. The Kicking Horse Canyon section probably going to be the most at-risk area, especially in the spring.
Roadmaster Nick Byer is on an emergency patrol of his stretch of track, which runs through the Rockies' western border.
That's 89.9 miles of the most lovely, challenging terrain that we seem to have punched a railway through.
Rock slides here have plagued rail crews since the tracks were first laid in the 1880s.
Rockfall-wise, I mean, looking in the ditches, we definitely are getting some. A rock slide can derail a train. It will put a train on the ground. We are going to be heading toward Rogers Pass, continuing our aerial inspection of the track.
180 kilometers west.
Full time, 9:19.
Veteran train engineer Geordie Hunter and conductor Justin Gehring are setting off from Revelstoke.
All right, we're ready to go.
They're heading east and must pass right through the rock slide zone to load up with the crucial delivery.
Before you get deeper into that, can you give me a little toot-toot as we come by the house in case the kids are up?
Are they out waving at you?
They might be. Yeah, there they are. All right, that was my wife and kids and dog.
Was the dog waving?
No, only wagging her tail.
Yeah,
Does that
yeah.
count?
Sure.
Spending up to 3 days away from home at a time makes being a railroader and having a family a hard balance to strike. But once it's in your blood, it's there to stay.
When it's my time to retire, they're gonna have to drag me kicking and screaming off the train. But I kind of like the idea of retiring too. Then I'll have more time to chase trains.
Like a dog salivating when he sees a bone. That's Geordie when he sees a train.
My wife Pauline asked me, you know, is there any other women in your life? I said, well, yeah, there is. And she's a 300-ton diesel burner, but she's a sweetheart. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Today, Geordie and Justin's 170 empty cars will be used for transporting potash, a mineral fertilizer. Once fully loaded, the combined weight of the locomotives, cars, and dense potash will be a staggering 22,700 tons. The heaviest train on the network. Canada mines and ships potash to more than 40 countries worldwide. The fertilizer is vital to help farmers around the world grow food crops, including corn, wheat, and sugarcane.
Potash train. It's the heaviest train on the system. So we got good power today. That's good, because we're a nice long train, and on the hills, it's nice to have lots of power, because then you can go up at a good speed instead of crawling. So we should do good today.
They need to maneuver the empty 3-kilometer-long train through the unstable mountains at Revelstoke to reach the potash mine in Kalonzi, Saskatchewan. There, they'll load up with 17,500 tons of potash. Then the train will head 1,600 kilometers west back through the rockslide zone to reach the port of Vancouver.
This is a nice trip. We've got mountains, valleys. There's snow visible all year round up high. Nothing but scenery. Bears.
Yeah, this is the view from our office window.
It's like the best screensaver ever.
It may look beautiful,
Hey, there's a bighorn sheep on the track. Get off.
But 65 kilometers down the line, Nick's flying over a stretch of track through Rogers Pass that sends shivers down railroaders' spines.
In 1910, we had an avalanche at the summit of the pass that killed between 50 and 60 Canadian Pacific employees. Because of that, the decision was made to drill the Kanawha Tunnel. The Kanawha Tunnel was completed in 1916.
The Kanawha Tunnel took more than 2 years to construct and cost the equivalent of 120 million Canadian dollars in today's money. Able to take trains heading east or west, the 8-kilometer tunnel cuts right through Mount Macdonald. It's an extraordinary feat of engineering. 500 workers removed millions of tons of limestone and quartzite using little more than air-powered drills. It was the longest tunnel in North America when completed, but its length causes problems for trains even today.
When we do have the trains pulling their loads through the tunnel, they create a lot of exhaust and a lot of bad air in there.
Considering the amount of tonnage that we put through here, it is of a particular concern.
To push the dirty air out of the tunnel, engineers installed 2 massive ventilation fans. Today, mechanic Roger McGarrion is gearing up to repair one of the fans with help from father-son team John and Kevin Meyer.
He's a high-tech guy and I'm an old-fashioned guy. I need him more than he needs me, or probably half and half.
The Kanawha Tunnel's fan house sits at its western entrance. Sensors trigger the 3.6-meter tall fans into action when they detect a buildup of carbon dioxide in the air. Huge motors connected to the drive shafts power the fans, pushing out the polluted air by channeling 700,000 cubic feet of fresh air a minute through the tunnel.
We're going to bring in the new shaft, get it lined up onto the gearbox and the fan itself.
Slide it in place here.
The minus 30-degree temperatures have frozen the grease that lubricates one of the fan's drive shafts.
That's why we have to replace the parts that wore out.
If the fans in the Kanawha Tunnel stopped working, the exhaust gases would be poisonous for any crews or maintenance forces that needed to work in there.
That's going on the bolt. It's looking good.
At Rogers Pass, mechanics Roger, John, and Kevin are working above the live train line inside the fan house of the Kanawha Tunnel to repair its ventilation system.
If things go very badly, it could mean new gearbox, new couplers, new bearings, new job. We may lose our 100-year-old fan and have to get it replaced. Every job in the railway is important to keep that freight moving. I am using a grease gun to make sure it is full.
We need 5 tubes total in there.
5 tubes of grease, and I'm only on tube 3. And I do want to get home for dinner tonight.
They want to test the fan before Geordie's train hits the tunnel.
You all filled up with grease?
I am starting to put the auto lubers onto this gearbox. I set it for 6 months.
The grease Roger has pumped inside the shaft will slowly squeeze out over time. Auto lubers top it up.
That's why they call it auto luber.
But they'll have to wait to run the test.
The train is going by, so we have to wait till the train is through the tunnel.
That little speck of light down there is about 5 miles away.
We cannot test the fan right now because the train will push the air in reverse. It's just like using a blunter. So we'll suck the air through the fan and we'll start rotating it. Right now, you can see it outside, and we have to wait till it stops.
That surely is the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
500 kilometers west of the Kanawha Tunnel in North Bend, British Columbia.
Everybody off the bus. Off the bus.
Jimmy Taylor is gearing up for his first day laying rails on the steel gang.
So it's just everyone's here.
He's been transferred here following disciplinary action by Revelstoke Roadmaster Chad Deschamps.
When you come to work, you got to be focused. I'm f***ing serious. I'm worried about you. But I think for your best interest is to go try something else.
Some may say I don't fit the mold of a typical railroader, which is probably one of the reasons why I'm still here, because I really do enjoy proving people wrong, and I do believe I can do this.
The steel gang isn't a demotion for Jimmy, but it is the toughest job a railroader can do. Every inch of steel track was laid by hand before modern machinery. It was sweaty, brutal, physical labor. The hard men of the gangs used picks, shovels, and hammers to drive metal spikes from coast to coast. This back-breaking work gave the steel gang the reputation it retains to this day.
Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Foreman Kyle Hygas runs this 38-strong crew.
This is huge compared to what I'm used to. Yeah, so this is our crew over here, Steel Gang. Welcome back. Hopefully everyone had a good weekend. On the first day of the shift back, that's usually the day where things happen. So we all need to get refocused, make sure we don't have any incidents and whatnot. So let's hop in our machines. There's 3 pullers at the front of the crew there. You can hop in one of those.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks a lot.
A little overwhelmed, I'd say. I didn't think it'd be this big.
23-year-old Michaela Buchanan takes Jimmy to today's worksite, where they'll be replacing tracks damaged by snow, ice, and heavy trains.
I'm just not familiar with like the etiquette, if there's like anything I'm supposed to or not supposed to do, so that's kind of what I'm worried about so far.
You haven't been on steel crew?
I've never been on any crew except for section.
Pretty much everything out here is a risk to anyone. Rocks are a risk, slipping's a risk, the rail's a risk, all the machines are the risks. Another person with a hammer's a risk.
I heard this is rattlesnake country too.
Oh yeah.
Great, I hate snakes with a passion. I'm just gonna keep my head down and kind of go with the flow, figure out how everyone else works, and I'll try and work like them. My new best friend.
Jimmy and the Steel Gang will need to replace thousands of meters of rail throughout the spring to keep Canadian Pacific's trains rolling. "3,000 kilometers east of the Rockies, the Ontario Northland Railway ships critical supplies to off-gridders and First Nations communities that live on the edge of the Arctic.
There's pretty much 2 ways to get supplies or people back and forth, and that's plane and train.
In Cochrane, Ontario, yard foreman Jay Faldine is gearing up to send the Polar Bear Express 300 kilometers north to the last spike in remote Moosonee.
Not too many planes that fly up north can haul the sort of things that we do on the trains. It's a lifeline, for sure, because if for some reason the train doesn't run, they'll feel it up north.
21, good to go on time.
On board today is 26-year-old conductor Mitchell Simmons.
Owner's one of the last flag stops in Canada. It's kind of like railroad hitchhiking. We have a lot of camps out here, and people will be flagging us down, waving crazy, and we'll slow down, let the ramp down so they can board, continue on. There's all sorts of people along the line that do live off the grid, and so they have supplies. They usually waiting at the stop that we need to throw the package off at. We just toss her down at them, track speed sometimes if they're used to it. And that's what we call airmail.
At the head of the train is locomotive engineer Dale Church.
Razordale, Outer Rapids, Moose River. Today we will have flag stops for anybody that wants to get on the train. This line is very important to everybody.
100 kilometers down the tracks.
If any train gets here before 11, I want to make sure I'm over there.
George Ross and his 15-year-old son, George Jr., are hoping to flag down the express to travel north.
We're rushing to get ready for the train. Some last-minute stuff. Getting ready, taking our boat on the train. We're going to go try some river hunting. Part of the spring hunt where we go on the rivers and try to shoot some ducks, some geese, cranes. Basically whatever flies and what's edible.
Hunting for all First Nations, like everybody up here in Northern Ontario, everybody does it. A lot of people, we'd rather have our own wild meat than going to the grocery store most times. Everything that flies, except for crows and seagulls, I'll eat it. Rabbits, partridge, beavers, muskrats, moose. I don't eat caribou. I never really liked it. Other than that, I'll just about eat everything out there.
George plans to load his boat, ATV, and hunting gear aboard the train at Razordale, then travel 100 kilometers north to Moose River. Here, they'll unload and drag their boat across the ice to reach the hunting grounds. The train makes just one return trip a day, so they must be back trackside in time to catch it, or they could be stranded in the wild.
I'm bringing my son with me, Georgie. I've been taking him with me since he was a toddler. I've taken him spring hunting. I used to carry him in a pack sack, bring him in a sleigh. I've taken him on a boat in the fall, spring. He is always with me.
George's supply of meat, which he smokes and cures himself, got his family through the winter. Today, he's hoping to stock up with geese.
The train should be here soon. Time to go.
21, 1 mile. Fraserdale. Hurry up.
Above the Rockies,
Slower? Yeah, just a little slower. Oh, slower, yeah.
Roadmaster Nick Beyer is scouting the mountains for rock slides.
The issue this time of year is now all that rock that's been frozen up and that ice has expanded is now thawing. Everything that it's broke loose wants to come right down on the track. Rock slides are a significant threat, and because of that, we have measures in place such as slide fences.
Canadian Pacific engineers have built more than 450 meters of special barriers called slide fences uphill alongside the rails in areas prone to rock slides. A weak electrical current passes through the fence wires to create a circuit that's monitored by a sensor. Any boulders crashing down from the cliffs hit the fences and snap their wires, breaking the circuit, which triggers an alarm. Any alert is picked up by rail traffic control, and the sensor automatically activates signals along the tracks, warning train crews to slow down or stop.
Slide fence is an important safety device because that way we're not running trains at track speed into a possible issue. We're just on our way back to the airport in Golden now. Finished flying the west section of the territory. A few things to keep an eye on, so we're going to wrap it up.
Just east,
This tunnel's over 100 years old.
Jordy and Justin creep through the Connaught Tunnel. The tunnel cuts straight through Mount Macdonald. For the time being, at least, they are safe from rock slides, a hazard that Jordy has experienced firsthand.
I hit a boulder the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. Everything worked out. We didn't go off the track. You don't really think about how frightening it is. The potential for derailment is there. That's just part of the job, I guess.
Above Jordy and Justin in the fan house.
Confident this is going to work. If it doesn't, then the exit's that way.
With the train clear, Roger's team can finally put the ventilation fan through its paces.
We got to get this baby moving. Starting fan! Is that good for you, John?
Put it on automatic, we're out of here.
Okay.
Job done. Jordy and Justin make headway to the potash mine in Kalonzi, keeping a close eye on the train's 170 empty cars.
8740 east out. Most of the radio procedures are left to me. He's busy driving a train. Well, he's got, 2 miles of train doing this and this and this and this. And he's trying to manage all that at the same time, so he doesn't need to be dealing with talking to anybody on the radio. I tell people where we are. He pushes the levers forward and backwards and makes us go there. He's the boss of the engines. I'm the boss of the train.
That's right.
With their train finally at the mine, loader Keith Boucher takes over to fill the cars with potash fertilizer as they pass through the plant. Keith's loaders can fill a 113-ton car in only 6 minutes.
I'm just loading a rail car to 220,000 pounds on the side and then finish it off at 285,000 pounds, which is railway regulations. Anytime it goes over, we unload it because too much weight on the rail car can make it derail.
Potash formed in Canada long before it was even called Canada. 400 million years ago, inland seas dried up, leaving potassium-rich crystallized salt behind. It's been mined and exported from this country since 1943.
Take these seals, I would make sure there's 1 seal on each lid. You're not allowed to have any organic contamination. From here, we make sure that nothing goes in there. That's why we seal them up.
Jordy and Justin's fully loaded train now weighs more than 22,000 tons. They head out, back across the prairies, to run the gauntlet of the Rockslide zone once again. In northern Ontario, the Polar Bear Express closes in on George Ross's camp.
We help them out, get the stuff on and off as quick as we can so we don't delay the train, and they're happy, we're happy.
I'm hoping to shoot quite a few birds. I don't like holding up the train crew too much. I've done in the past quite a bit, so. Georgie, my boy, to fly your train down.
I see George Ross up there. Must be him. See him flagging there?
Taking cars.
Four more now.
And stop there. The trainer here is pretty lenient on what you can put on, and a lot of times they'll give you breaks. If you get to know the crew, like me, I've grown up with most of these guys, and they all know me. You don't worry about having to take stuff on the train with you.
Spring may be in the air, but the weather here can change in a heartbeat.
We like to keep track of where we let people off and on, and usually when they're coming back and that. So this is where we use the board. We just put it here. So Moose River, and I usually mark down a boat and an ATV.
Hunters sometimes stay out in the bush for weeks at a time. Wayne's checklist is a potential lifesaver. If someone fails to show for a pickup, he knows something could have gone wrong.
We're gonna stay in the water along the edge. I'm not gonna go in the river yet. I didn't bring my big motor.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to try it out.
After 2 hours, the train pulls to a stop at Moose River. It's an area George knows well.
My dad and all my family members worked on the railway, and we grew up along the line from Gardner to Moose River to Moose Knee.
Hey, guys.
West, in North Bend, BC.
Did I get your name? No, Jim.
Travis.
Nice to meet you, Travis. Call me Wizard if you like.
Wizard?
Yeah.
Why do they call you a wizard?
Well, I'm a magician, you see.
Oh.
Jimmy gets to work on Kyle's steel gang.
I'm gonna keep the magic on the down low until everyone gets more comfortable with me, but I'm introducing myself as the Wizard.
There's no time for Jimmy to get up to his old tricks. Kyle's team has just 6 hours to replace 150 meters of track so Jordy and Justin's train can pass through here.
Curve is where you get the most rail wear because of heavy train traffic. And this curve is 480 feet long. That's how much rail we're going to be putting in here.
This 12-ton machine has a special 180-degree rotating boom arm that lifts, drags, and lays new stretches of track that are up to 100 meters long.
That's my setup speed swing there. What he does first is he throws the new rail in so it's in track, so it's ready to be installed. So what the guys do now is they go along and bang off all the old anchors, so then the rail will come out nice and freely.
Crap. Watch it here.
Jimmy?
Yes?
When he throws the rail out like that, before you go close to it like that, you always want to watch and see where his boom is.
Okay.
If he's close to grabbing it, when he throws it out up there, it can move back here because it's a long piece, right?
Okay, I see.
So you always want to have good eye contact. Never get too close to that.
Sure. I'm going to be quite a bit more diligent than I used to be back in Revelstoke. Because out here, one small move, you can cost you your life.
If you hear the speed swing and the ads are honk their horn, get off the track.
Okay.
Because they'll be moving that rail.
Oh, I see, I see.
That's their warning.
You definitely don't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time around here.
They catch on pretty quick. If they don't, they're going to get hurt.
Harder than it looks.
Well, I gotta do it.
I'm gonna come over there.
You're the new guy.
I'll remember that.
They picked on me when I was started out.
Really?
In Golden, Roadmaster Nick Byer has arrived back at base from his aerial survey. But one of the Rockslide fences has triggered an alarm.
Anytime the slide detector fence comes down, it's a concern. East end of Glenogle, that particular rock face is unstable at the best of times, just based on the geology.
Jordy's train needs to pass through Glen Ogle and Kicking Horse Canyon.
It's a high potential to be something bigger here. A train could derail.
In Kicking Horse Canyon, a suspected rock slide has triggered an alarm on Roadmaster Nick Byers' section of track.
I have actually seen rocks and rock slides that do pose such a significant danger to the passage of freight that we've stopped all traffic.
It's extremely important that we go out there and check this out immediately.
Nick must coordinate his plan with rail traffic control in Calgary. This team of 80 controllers keeps watch over the movements of up to 300 trains a day across Canadian Pacific's 12,000-kilometer network.
I'm going to be crossing you to the south track.
We coordinate and are intimately aware of every train movement that happens between Calgary all the way to the coast.
RTC answering, over.
It's a massive undertaking. Our level of safety is the same as we would expect from, for example, an air traffic controller.
Here's the Mountains of RTC with an emergency call, Cliffside Channel 1, over.
All right, so you can show me clear subformer section on 129, 129. We're heading up to the Kicking Horse Canyon, investigating the slide detector fences being down. We could have possible rock fall, and we're just going to make sure that it's not an issue for train traffic.
Give me a minute to do some counting.
I will need you off the track at 12 o'clock, please. 12 not off.
RTC out.
Rail traffic control gives Nick just 1 hour of track time to investigate the rock slide.
Ahead of us on track is the supervisor of track inspection, Hal Porter. This is his territory that he inspects twice weekly, but most of the time he's out there 5 days a week, keeping an eye on things.
Same nugget there between the rails that come down. Wasn't there the other day. Track time's so precious out here that we just keep going. And sometimes I'll go home, I'll have dinner, and I'll just look at my screen, and if I see a couple hour big gap out there, I'll say, holy smokes, there's 2 hours of track time out there. Well, I'll just come back out and get some of my work done, get some of my inspections done, take advantage of track time whenever I can get it. And that includes weekends as well. I don't know how my wife puts up with me sometimes. Anything to keep the trains rolling.
En route to the slide fence,
Up our stopped at 20.3 there, Nick.
they spot another hazard.
This rock probably came from a couple hundred yards above us, and you know, if that landed on you, it hurt.
The freeze-thaw cycle of spring causes ice in the quartzite cliff face to expand and contract, cracking off massive chunks of rock.
The side of the mountain here is coming down as we speak.
It's pretty active through here as far as rockfall.
And on to the next one.
Okay, the slide fence, we're coming up here too pretty quick.
This rock right here is the one that came down, and that's what broke the fence. So that is a pretty good sized boulder. It took out 1, 2, 3 wires, and that would be the reason why the slide fence was tripped. This fine piece of quartzite right here came out of this rock face probably 200-300 yards above our heads, where there's plenty of other rocks that are waiting to come down and smush us. But obviously a rock this size is a major concern, because that on the track, high likelihood of a derailment. And obviously if I had men working here and that landed on them, that'd be game over.
This is the most northerly point on the main line.
This is?
Yep, right here, this curve.
This little curve. Now I know.
And, we got a signal dropped on us here. Restricting signal. I gotta slow it down here.
The slide fence has triggered a signal alerting Jordy and Justin of a hazard.
We had to slow down a fair bit so that we are able to stop quickly should something untoward come up in front of us.
The fear of hitting an obstacle on the tracks is never far from any train crew's mind.
I was listening to the news last night. The logging railway on Vancouver Island had a derailment there the other day. Apparently the third person has died now. That's the part of the job I don't like. It's the part of the job we have to deal with. It's quite a sobering thing to happen. I imagine their families are feeling it.
You know, what caused that derailment? Was it weather factors? Was it crew factors? Was it public doing something? You don't know those things right now, and when bad things happen, they happen in a big way.
30 kilometers ahead of the train.
Now, this is one of our most active slide zones that we have here. We got a lot of debris that comes down. A lot of rock comes down every year.
This is for sure the culprit. So, mystery solved on this slide fence.
I'll send a crew out here and they'll repair this.
Let me know when you guys are on the move again. I'm not sure if I get any more time. I got 10 minutes left.
We're pressured for time. We got to get going.
Go ahead for RTC.
CPE Supervisor Track Inspection, Hal Porter, Roadmaster Nick Byers on 13, over.
And signal 274, 274, Glenorgh East.
We got a potash train coming, we gotta get out of the way.
With this section of track safe to pass, Nick and Hal clear the line.
That signal was a limited clear.
I think it might be the train.
Everything runs on a schedule. If I delay a train by an hour, that might make it 1 hour late for its port arrival in Vancouver, which could lead to a ship being delayed. So we need to make sure that we're not delaying trains when we're doing our work.
"500 kilometers ahead of the train.
We're throwing these ones off?
Michaela is teaching Jimmy the tricks he needs to survive the steel crew.
If there's plates in the track, you always throw the old ones out.
Oh, I
see. If you're coming up, there's nothing in the middle, you throw them to the side.
I get it. Okay. Doing what I'm doing now, just moving plates, is pretty simple. I'm barely working up a sweat. It's not too bad. But when I was hitting off the anchors, I had to take so many breaks. It was pretty exhausting because you're just swinging, swinging, and swinging.
You gotta keep up with the person in front of you if you want to keep going. Because if I wouldn't have helped him out and I would have walked away, he'd been there for a while. He'll need to pick it up if he wants to stay around, that's for sure.
When not helping out the rookie, Michaela's job is working the spike puller.
How long have you been operating the puller?
About a year.
You must like it then.
It's better than being on the ground.
Hey, come on now. I like this. This is nice.
I've chucked my fair share of plates. It took me a year before I got a machine. And you also have to put in the hours. He'll be swinging a hammer for a while.
I definitely think I came here with a false sense of fear, honestly. It's quite a bit better than what I expected.
Or is Michaela just going easy on the newbie?
He'll be working like a dog tomorrow.
East at Moose River.
Time to go for a walk.
George Ross and George Jr. start their goose hunt.
The section guys, they were just saying that there was a whack load of geese that were over here. They took off before they came in. And this time of year, usually, like you saw in that corner over there, if we get the boat in there, you might have to drag it on the ice. Either way, that's where I'm going. I'm gonna cut this tree that's in my way. We'll push it down. For me, hunting on the river with my son, I'm very cautious with it. For instance, you see how quickly the water rises, how quickly the ice moves, and how much power is behind it. It's very unstable. A lot of hunters, they don't hunt along the shore like that. It's just too dangerous. It's the worst time of year to fall in the water. You fall in there, within minutes you get to hypothermia, basically you're finished.
In northern Ontario,
Look at all the water we have.
George and his son fight the ice to set decoy geese to lure in their prey.
A number of instances where I was in the water like this, and you don't realize how much power is in the ice. It'll push your boat, no problem. It'll flip you over if you try to fight it.
These plastic birds should trick the geese into thinking that this is a safe spot to land.
So I'm gonna try to make it as decent as possible so I can pull the boat right in here. Now we just gotta get him. You know where you gotta go, eh?
Yeah, you go around. There's a truck coming down.
Yeah. Hurry up! There's a shoreline over there. Just go down that trail over there.
He has a lot of responsibility when he's with me. He's able to go on ATV, take his gun, walk around. He has a lot of freedom. I try to show him that if he wants to do it, he can do it.
Oh, here comes the storm. The lovely clouds.
The weather is turning. They need to move fast to avoid getting stranded. Junior returns with the 2 geese they shot. The geese will provide a feast for George and his family. What they don't eat will be preserved for the months ahead.
Twin train?
Yeah, with the bike, to make the time go faster, don't have to pull the boat by hand. You got the winch on the bike and try and get the boat out.
Feels like November. It's April, end of April. Yeah, springtime's really odd, yeah? The weather changes so fast.
We gotta put everything away, reorganize, wait for that train. Finally! Cold. I wasn't expecting winter. The weather changes so fast. You try to be prepared for everything. I got lucky this time and I was prepared enough. It sucks sometimes, but it's just the way it is. Come on, Birdie.
Jordy and Justin's potash train has safely made it through the Rockslide zone.
RTC, our length is 9855, 9855. Give your notice as well, please.
Did you happen to grab all your fuel levels?
3771 on this one.
We got 3771 on the leader here. We did not get fuel levels on the rest of the train.
We'll probably have to get you to stop somewhere and get the rest of them.
Before the final 500-kilometer trek to the coast, they need to make a pit stop to check that the train's 3 4,400-horsepower locomotives have enough gas.
Yeah, you bet. We'll figure that out when we can for you. Thanks, 8740 east out.
Are you serious?
I am going to go back to the second unit. So let's go check it out.
The locomotives are spread along the length of the train to even out the pushing and braking power.
We're on the pusher unit. I checked the fuel level, 3,480 gallons. So that's good. Doors are locked. Keeps the hobos off the trains.
Fuel checks done, they need to restart the 22,700-ton train on a hill. No simple task.
So there's a bit of a different train handling procedures on the mountain. I always like to make sure all my locomotives are loading before I release anything like brakes or anything. This is where bad things can happen.
Jordy's head-end locomotive remotely controls the 2 other engines along his 3-kilometer-long train. Radio frequencies send his commands to the support engines instantly. Jordy needs all 3 engines to work in unison to successfully start the train in the mountains. If the head-end locomotive pulls while the rear engines still have their brakes on, the car's connecting knuckles will snap.
I'll let the train come to me. That way I know the brakes are releasing, because if I start to power up too quickly, I can rip the train apart. We don't want that.
We want Jordy to drive it as well as he can, because knuckles break, then I get to carry a 80-pound chunk of metal from quite a distance usually back to go fix the broken part.
In northern Ontario,
this is our family camp here.
George and his son have returned to their camp from their hunt.
We're gonna smoke some geese. I already got some up there. When you smoke them, it's already pre-cooked, right? If you freeze them, just gotta boil it or throw it in the oven. My family, we love it though. We eat it all the time. I'm keeping all the feet there. My aunt and uncles eat that. Obviously, we'll roast that and take all the meat off of it. This part here, the same thing. We boil it for gravy. Put dumplings and potatoes in there. I'm keeping the hearts. My kids like eating that. The gizzards, my parents are gonna keep that. We got some elders at Moosonee that want that, and then a couple of geese we'll give away. I've always made a point to give elders some wild meat. I still give a lot of meat away to my uncles and aunts and grandfathers. I'll just give what I can.
This is the goose that we shot in Moose River. We got it, debone it, and smoke it. I enjoy hunting, plucking, enjoy being in the bush.
We've accomplished what we wanted to today. They're all smoked. They'll last us till the fall hunt. I'm just getting hungry looking at it. Can't wait to eat. I feel way more at home when I'm out here. A lot of people think it's a lot of work, but for us, it's the norm. We always do it. We've always been doing it and always will. But the bush life is the best life to have. It's simple and it's safe.
Ahead of Jordy and Justin's potash train in North Bend, BC.
So you can see along there, all the plates are sitting nicely.
Jimmy and the team have laid nearly 150 meters of new rail.
Any anchors the machines miss, I gotta put on by hand, and any loose scrap, I gotta take and just throw onto the back of this machine. Simple, really. It's just not as repetitive as what I've been doing before. I was always told that the laborers put on all the anchors. I've never heard of an anchor machine.
Modern machines have definitely made life on the steel gang more bearable. Kyle's crew uses grinders to rough up the edge of the rail before the final welding.
After we lay in the new rail, what we have to do is weld in the new rail to the old rail. This guy actually clamps onto both ends of the rail and actually just pushes them together and then welds it. The yellow thing that's actually on right now is called the puller. That's what pulls the new rail into the old rail and pushes it up tight. And then this orange piece, that's the actual welder head.
The welder heats the ends of the rail to more than 1,000 degrees to fuse them together. The puller only lets go once the weld is cool.
It's a pretty cool process. Job well done.
Jimmy's first day on the steel gang is nearly over.
I've been the new guy before. I know what to expect. The guy's teasing me a little bit, but it could have been much, much worse. I think I can do this, honestly. I think I can do this.
I think he'll do well. Just he has a pretty good head on his shoulders, so he just needs to keep focused, keep working at it.
With the track secured, the potash train can pass. Jordy and Justin have successfully hauled their 22,700-ton train back through the unstable mountains.
That's it. We're done.
Another crew takes the potash to the port of Vancouver. From there, ships will transport it to China and Brazil, where it will be used to help farmers grow essential food crops. The team has taken on tunnels and rock slides
This is for sure the culprit.
to make their delivery on time.
It's important that we ship potash because it's just part of the integrated supply chain for Canada. Saskatchewan mines the potash, we ship it across Alberta, we ship it across British Columbia, we put it on ships at the port, and it goes to its destination. It just keeps all of Western Canada moving.
Next time, a gigantic 210-ton load
If it is excessively too big, then Plan B would have to go into effect.
piles the pressure on the rail crews.
We are way off here. Son of a... Watch your fingers.
There's no let-up.
If a car like that goes around too tight of a curve, it can pop off.
As this journey pushes the teams to the limit.
Something's not lining up right.